Hello YouTube. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. This is the Potato Smasher. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of my personal replays. This is a game I played on the hotspot map in the French Tier 10 destroyer, the Kleber. With my personal experience in the Kleber, I find her to be a pretty nice ship to play. She's very comfortable on her gun arcs, she's very fast, she has very hard-hitting high explosive shells, and more importantly, she's extremely dangerous when it comes to YOLO rushing, as I'll demonstrate later in this battle. For now, we're just going to fast forward this replay to first engagement. Just, waiting for the whole thing to wind out. So my whole point on going on this flank, at least, is to get some early spotting on any flanking battleships or flanking cruisers. Now the reason for this, of course, is that we're looking for basically anybody that's going to try and push around the side of A to get some crossfire into A and B cap, more specifically along the C and D lines. And there's our first targets. Kremlin. I'm going to open up on the Kremlin here, quite early, just so that I get his attention and hope he focuses fire on me and doesn't divert his attention towards A. Just continuing to shell the Kremlin here, set him on one fire. Did he damage control? I'm not sure. I think he damaged control tiers, so I just keep pouring on the fire. I don't use the reload booster here because I'm going to save later for if any destroyers pop up with this flank. On this map, destroyers tend to come up quite frequently on this flank, so that's something to keep in mind, at least in my experience at least. And that should be a permanent fire. Now the Kremlin's going to try shooting at me, I start reversing immediately, just staying stern in, just in case anything pops up. And there's the Des Moines. That was what I was worried about. There was a radar feature on this flank, so I immediately shift fire to the Des Moines, hoping to get his attention so he diverts his attention away from our Petropavlovsk and Collins. And I continue to shoot, basically making myself sort of like a giant beacon for these two ships, like saying, hey, there's a free destroyer out here. Except I'm not a free destroyer, I'm a Kleber. So, fire on the Des Moines seems quite ineffectual when he's backing off, so I shift my fire back to the Kremlin. And this is, I think, the point where the Des Moines starts shooting at me, so I hit my engine boost and I immediately get out. And I'm just looking at the Kremlin there and just taking a look at... He's playing very aggressively, and that's when the gearing pops up. Now, you're probably noticing the torpedoes that are coming past the Petropavlovsk and the Collins, so they must be the Shimakaze. The gearing came from behind the island, so he could not have torpedoed. I focus my fire on the gearing to deal some extra chip damage to him before he goes south, and he starts shooting me. Now, fortunately, the Kleber is fast enough to comfortably dodge the gearing shell arcs. Now the Kremlin's fired, I shift my focus back to him. Now the Kremlin radars, and that reveals what I suspected: there is a Shimakaze on this flank. So now I know the position of both Shimakazes on the enemy team. One was in B, and one is near A. So I keep shelling the Kremlin, hoping to burn him down. He seems to be taken quite well. Kremlin does a healthy amount of damage to the Petropavlovsk before I take it down with the fire. And now that just leaves the Des Moines, the gearing, and the Shimakaze on this flank. There was an Ohio spotted towards the back, and in fact he's pushing towards A, so I have to be careful of that. Now at this point, I'm tempted to go down this flank, or stay on this flank, and farm the Des Moines as it pushes in. And I just keep pondering and pondering, waiting for the Des Moines to pop up. Right? And that's when I noticed that the enemy Shimakaze, one of them at least, or both of them rather, have now entered A cap. Now this is something I can't ignore, because 2 Shimakazes in 1 cap is an extremely dangerous prospect. I decide to open up on the first Shimakaze, and that's when the Des Moines pops up again. I shift my fire back to the Des Moines very quickly. This begins to exit the smoke. Now I'm keeping out of the radar range and effective firing range of the Des Moines, staying angled towards him. Dodging his fire somewhat effectively. Keep my fire on the first Shimakaze. The second Shimakaze is behind an island. And I just keep shotting. I'm not hitting him very effectively because he's dodging. And by this time the booster's radar has gone down, so now I don't have vision of the second Shimakaze A-cap. So I decided to go silent. No, I didn't go silent here. I decided to keep firing into Des Moines. The reason why was just to try and get some fires on him to support the booster. That's one of the good things about the Kleber. It has very good ballistic range, even to its maximum firing range of 16.3 kilometers, as I have it here. So I keep firing on the Des Moines, hoping to start fire or do some ship damage to him. I could switch to the armor piercing here, but at the rate I'm going, it wouldn't do much. He's too far away from my AP to actually do any meaningful damage to him short of up the belt. He didn't seem to be actively maneuvering though, so I guess that was fine. I probably should have switched to the AP here, but in any case I did set a fire, so that's probably forces damage control. So I go silent here behind the island. I'm hoping that both the Shimikazes are in A, the Holland goes into Cap B, but that's when I notice a problem. The Ohio has actually moved into the Cap. Now, I don't shoot at the Shimikaze immediately because I know he's dropped torpedoes, because that's what Shimikazes do. They panic and they drop torpedoes. And that's when I notice the shots from the Ohio. I take a substantial amount of damage, about 5,000. And once I've dodged the torpedoes, I immediately open fire on the Shimikaze with all 8 guns, reload booster active. He tries smoking up, but already he's stuck, so I just blind fire him and I get the kill. That's a perma fire, and that's the shot that kills him.
Destroyer ennemi envoyé par le fond.
I look back towards A, make sure there are no torpedoes coming in, but more importantly, I'm looking for the Ohio's high explosive. Decide to not launch any torpedoes, I get 7 permafire. Maneuvering to dodge the enemy torpedoes. I get spotted here briefly, but if I had to guess, that was probably the enemy Shimikaze, who just moved across A. So now I have a choice here. Do I either go for the Shimikaze or do I go for the Ohio? I decided to go for the Ohio here. And not because I just want to YOLO him and trade, it's because I want to eliminate the crossfire threat he presents. Because you have the Goliath, the Hindenburg, the Yamato to the south, and we have the Ohio, the Des Moines, and the Gearing to the west. If I can only at least eliminate one of them. Oh, sorry, I forgot the Shimikaze as well, as he pops back into view. If I can eliminate at least one of them, that removes a crossfire threat to my team. Which is why I decided to go for the YOLO rush here. I think about turning my guns towards the Gearing, which just popped back up, and then I realize he's straight into the range of the Gross Recurvers, who's most likely got his Hydra running, and the Wooster and the GK are both focusing him, so there's no point in me really opening up and revealing my plans to YOLO this Ohio. So I pile on the speed. This is not an optimal angle for me to rush the Ohio, but I decide to go for it anyways, because he's backing up, he doesn't know I'm coming. He thinks I've run off to try and deal with him alive. No, I've actually come back here. Of course, made a slight miscalculation here when dealing with the Ohio, because there was also the Des Moines in the background, but I decided to YOLO him anyways. Ohio misses his front turrets. I stay in front of him until the very last second possible. So the secondaries can't do that much damage to me. The secondaries get a few shots off. French saturation for the win, again. I stay bow in towards the Des Moines, using the wreck of the Ohio to shield me. Des Moines would have killed me here, I think, but He switches to armor piercing for some reason at the last second. Damages my turret, but he goes down. So that just leaves 5 enemy ships left. You have the Hindenburg, the Goliath, and the Armada to the south. There's a Des Moines off somewhere, and there's a Shimakaze left. So I back up and secure the cap. At this point I'm on just under 100,000 damage. So I'd say I did fairly good this game. So there's the Shimakaze. Immediately spotted out by the Worcester's radar. And now I notice that the Hindenburg is cutting away, so it's like, no, there's no point going after him. It's just throwing away my ship for no reason. So I decided to go for the Shimakaze and cap A in the process. Now I could just AP the Hindenburg here because he's 2 tunnel visions on whatever's coming through B. But I decide, no, I only have 2,800 health left. There's no point to me doing this. So I decide to pile on steam towards the Shimakaze, and then I realize, no, he's too far behind the islands. He'll be out of line of sight. I'm putting myself in danger from both the Goliath and the Armada and the Hindenburg. Worcester spots at the Des Moines, so it's not really a threat. Holland piles some torpedoes, I think, towards the, was it the Goliath? Yeah, it was the Goliath. So I'm taking a look at my torpedo angles here, and I'm taking a look, okay, so the Hindenburg's coming through here, right? So I'm just going to launch a speculative spread of torpedoes. I'm going to stay silent until he decides to turn away or overcommits in the wrong direction. And the Hindenburg can't really run, because if he runs off towards the EF line, like 1 or 2, he's going to have a grater torpedoes to contend with. Hindenburg apparently taking some blind shots into the islands where he thinks he's spotted from. If I recall correctly, this Hindenburg player wasn't too good. So, I have no idea. So the Hindenburg decided to cut away, probably because he probably has hydro running. So I decided to open up on the Hindenburg. Spotted. It's the end of the match, anyways. Decided to open up on him just for some extra farm. Get a fire on him. He sets me on fire, breaks my rudder. I don't care. French saturation. Match is basically over. Just do more dodging. And that's basically the end of the match.